In today's tutorial, let's do the mock cable hat. This is a really cool hat featuring a really great band that has a Jacob's ladder. Let's begin looking at the pattern next. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to make this beautiful hat. It's called the mock cable hat. It has two layers here of Jacob's ladder that you see here. You're actually seeing it just shown once, but there's actual fact two side by side in the same band. Today we're going to be learning how to make the band so that you can go all the way around, and then we're going to just polish it off just by finishing it with the top here. So to do today's project, it's really quick and easy. You use the new Bernat Dazzle yarn. This is new as of 2016. Really quite great. It's quite thick. You'll need a size L 8mm crochet hook in order to play today. So let's get started on this concept. I think that you'll really like it. It's very much similar to the chain links pillow and all of them where Jacob's ladder is concerned. So let's take a look and let's do this pattern. So what you're looking at here is the Jacob ladder concept, and what's going to happen here is that we're going to start on one side of the project and then we're going to do a chain and then jump over and then do the other side. So you can see that there's solid sides here, but there's gapping spaces with the chain. When we come back across, we're going to just go across the chain and then advance up and then chain again, and then when we come back we're going to go across that same chain. So we're thickening up the chain every 2 rows that we go in order to create the look. So this is what you're seeing here. So the very first time that you do it, it's going to look like this, like a ladder, and then we're going to twist the first one and then pull all the remaining ones through these holes all the way up the top just like you see, and it pulls everything in. It gets a lot more compressed in, and then it creates the band just like you see here on the model, and it's really quite cool. These buttons help to secure this in the end, but if you don't have buttons and you just want to sew the final one so it doesn't unravel itself, then that's completely up to you, but it's quite a nice feature on this hat. So let's grab our size L 8mm crochet hook today, and let's grab our Bernat Dazzle and let's get going. So let's begin, and if you want to email me on what this color is, don't need to worry about it. This is called Mocha Shimmer. This is Bernat Dazzle Mocha Shimmer, so it's a little bit chocolatey and it has sparkle inside the yarn. So let's begin. We're going to create a slip knot to start, and remember that never counts as anything within this pattern today, and it says that we need to chain 14. So just yarning over, so 1 2 3 4 and 5. Go all the way to 14 for me, and don't freak out because you're gonna say this chain is way too long, but the Jacob's ladder is gonna compress everything and you have to trust in me with that. So please chain all the way to number 14. So let's do the first row. So there's gonna be 2 bands of Jacob's ladder going in on this particular chain. So let's go second chain from the hook, and we're gonna single crochet, go to the back loop of the chain in order to get it to look really good. And that's completely just a preference for myself when I go to do this. So you're gonna single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and let's refer back to the pattern, and it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So in actual fact what you have in the end is a total of 3 single crochets in a row. So the first one plus another 2. So let's start beginning to do the Jacob's ladder concept. So we now have to chain 11. So let's just do that before we continue. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and 11. So now that you have your 11, come back down to the chain. So come back down to earth there, and it says to skip the next 2 chains. So skip 1 and 2 and go to the 3rd chain over and single crochet into that spot just like that. Okay, so we're gonna single crochet there, plus we're gonna single crochet the next 2 in a row as well. So continuing down on that same chain. Getting started is always the toughest thing with anything, so just don't lose patience with this. So you got 3 single crochets in a row just like you did at the very beginning. This here is that loop that's going to twist to get you started. So let's begin again. So we're gonna do the second Jacob's ladder again. So remember what we have to do, chain 11. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and 11, and I want you to come back down to the chain, skip the next 2, 1 and 2, go to the 3rd over and single crochet in just like that, and single crochet into the final 2 chains that are left. So that's getting you started with this, and it will compress down. You just got to put trust in it, and this is what it's gonna look like at this point. So row number 1 kind of looks like this. You look at it, so here it is, and these are the loops, and you'll see that they'll twist eventually as we come into play with this. Okay, so now that we've done row number 1, row number 2 and 3 are going to be the repeat throughout the entire band now until we get a total of 22 inches long. So what we have to do in row number 2, and we have to end on row number 2, so when you get your 22 inches you should end on row 22. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna chain up 1, and we're gonna do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. There's only 3 here anyway, so just remember that. So there's 1 into each, so 1 and 2 and 3, just like that, and now you have your chain 11 there. So here's what you're gonna do on this chain 11. 1 single crochet into each one of these chains as you go across. Okay, so just continuing to go across, so you can count it if you want to. I would probably recommend it. So 1, and you're just going in the chain, 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10, and I got 1 more to go, and 11, just like that. So now you're here in the middle of the 3. So the next 3 are gonna be single crochets. So 1, 2 and 3. So throughout this pattern the middle will always stay solid. There will always be single crochets going in the middle. There will always be single crochets going on the outside. See how you just thicken that up? That's that braid. So let's begin again. So the next 11 chains will each be 1 single crochet. So 1 and 2 and 3. This is 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9, 10, and I just got 1 more to go. There's 10 and 11. So there's my 11. So that just got thickened up, and the final 3 that are left is just gonna be 1 single crochet each. So this is row number 2. Whenever you're finishing up you should finish on row number 2, because row number 2 is the final of going back across it to thicken it up. So let's begin, and let's start on the next one. So let's turn our work and go for row number 3. So just turn. So row number 3 is gonna establish the chain once again that we'll be playing with. So you're gonna chain up 1, and the first 3 will be single crochets. So 1 and 2 and 3, and now this time there's gonna be 11 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11. I'm not worried about this piece right now, because the fact is that it's gonna twist, and chances are it won't be seen anyway. So you're just gonna jump to the middle 3 that you see. So just go into the first middle one for a single crochet. So 1 and then 2, just moving along, and 3, and then go to 11 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, and then come back to this other side, and the final 3 that you run into, 1, 2, 3, are the finals. So start in the first one. So 1 single crochet there, and coming back the next one and the next one. So that was row number 3. See, so you got the smaller ones, you have the thicker ones. So to turn around you're gonna go for number 2 once again, chain up 1, first 3 will be single crochet, 1, 2 and 3, and then working across the chain for the next 11. So 1, 2 and 3, 4, and 5. It's 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, and finally 11. So there's my 11 in. I'm back at the middle and I just keep on going. So I want you now just to continue to go and do this row and then the other row and keep alternating between the two. And what's gonna happen here is that you're gonna end up with these the ladder shapes that you see in the diagram. So as we get done, what's gonna happen is that the first one is gonna twist and then the next one would just come into the inside like so and just pull out, and I'll show you that more later. But this is what's creating that cable look that you see within the hat. So what I want you to do is that you need to measure along the side here 22 inches from this side all the way to the other side, and then you're done the band. So I'm gonna leave that for you and I'll be back and I'll show you what to do from that point. So last time I left you I was working on this, and right now if you pull everything apart it looks like a backbone. It reminds me of a back spine, and you have the ribs basically coming up of the project, and you have it on both sides as you can see here. I want you to grab 2 pieces of spare string that you don't mind wasting, and we're gonna be using that towards the end of this. So right now I've got 22 inches now from this point down at the bottom all the way to the top. Notice I have not fastened off. So I know a question that's gonna be asked of me: what happens when you start doing the twist work and the hat is too small? If you don't fasten off at this point you can actually adjust the size. So what I would do is do all the twisting now that you got your 22 inches. Try it on your head, make sure that it fits. If it's too tight you can add on more, and if it's too loose then you can subtract a few of these out. Just take a little measurement on how thick that is, and so then it can make a decision. Maybe you have to take out some. So it's a great way to alternate the pattern. So let's begin the twisting. The twisting is the funnest part. We're gonna start on one side. So every one of these is a loop that you see. Okay, so the first one we ever start with is just going to be the first up. Okay, so it's not the starting one right here, it's the first one up. So I want you to twist it. You can be twisted in any direction, just make sure you do both in the same direction. So if you go this way for example, you want to do it the same with the other way. So just make sure the first one is the same. So just twist it. Okay, and I'm gonna do as per the pattern. So it's gonna be like this. Okay, did you see that? So it's flat and twist this way. So now grab the next one that's in behind and just pull through that loop that's twisted. You don't need to twist anything, you only have to twist that first one. Then grab the next one and pull through. And you're gonna notice that the project is going to suck in as you go all the way up. This is the funnest part of this whole project. So I'm just gonna continue to suck these in and just continue to pull them up. You know, don't be scared to pull on them and really get their shape so that it's consistent all the way up. It's like a braid. This is called a mock cable. This is also referred to as Jacob's ladder as well. So you're noticing this side is just really sucking in. It's really kind of good. So just keep going in order, and I'm gonna go all the way to the top. So let me quieten up and just do it. So I'm getting closer to the top, and the reason why I had you grab some spare string is that you have to sew buttons onto the end of it in order to create the look that's on the hat. It's also a feature that is non-functional, so you'll never use the button. It's more there for decorative purposes, but it's a neat way to hiding in the final. Okay, so now that I'm finished one side almost, so I go right to the very end. So get those last ones in like this. And so here's the final one. So I don't want this unraveling on myself. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna put this strand of string, one of them, through these two final loops, and that'll just hold it for me for now. It says to sew on buttons, but I want to check it for, make sure it fits around my head first. And I'm just gonna tie a little bow tie like that. And then I'm just gonna move to the other side, start at the bottom. Again, just look at the twist the direction of the twist, and it was this way. Okay, and then continue to work up the other side. So making sure everything is going to be coming in balance. And this is really going to suck it in as well. So I think for this hat, copper buttons would be really good. It'd be a really nice effect with this mocha. And I'm not sure if it's coming across as mocha on the screen for you, but it's kind of like a deep chocolate with a bit of hint of sparkle to it, silver sparkle. One thing I like about this yarn is that it does sparkle, but it doesn't scratch. It's pretty soft. So it's going to look like a pair of train tracks by the time you get all the way to the top. So this is causing the project to not only condense in this direction, but it's also condensing in the length, because normally a woman's hat is about 18 inches in the brim area. So that's why I'm giving you options to be able to change the size if you have to. Everybody's tension is a little different. And go right to the end, getting that final one in there, and again with the piece of string just tie that last one together, and that'll hold it from unraveling from you. It shouldn't unravel anyway, but it's a good safety precaution just in case. So I want you to try it around your forehead, see if it fits, and if it's too loose then you're gonna have to remove stuff out, so you can just pull that strand that you never finished off and just remove some extra yarn out, and if it's too small then you can add on an extra that you need. So let's try that on, and then we're gonna move to the next part. Okay, so I tried this on my head. It actually fits great. I'm really kind of surprised about it, because you always have to have a little bit of trust. And what I need to do at this particular point is that I need just to, I pulled a little bit extra here out when I did it, and so I just want to make sure that I go in and just make sure everything's looking good. And I'm gonna use a long strand from this finishing at this point to use it as the sewing to sew it across the edge. So just grabbing extra yarn from the yarn ball at this point, trim it off, and we're gonna use it to our advantage. So just pull it up right through, and that is your sewing strand right there. So what I want you to do is that I want you to turn this around now, and I want you to sew the two seams together. But here, see how there's a gapping space right here? That's kind of where the button is going. So when we go to sew this, we want to sew it in a way that this looks like it's overlapping the other one, but keeping everything in balance. So let's begin to do that, and let's grab a darning needle. And put the yarn onto the needle, and I want to whip stitch straight across. So just coming straight across, matching edge to edge, just like so. See, just coming right straight across. And so I'm gonna deal with the braid in a little bit, but what I want to do is just attach the two seams together. So just going right directly across from each other as a whip stitch, matching the stitch to stitch. So just looking across in the project from each other, just making sure that you're getting it all completely lined up so that you're not off balance at any point. Okay, so continuing to match as I go. And when I get all the way down to the other side where I match the two seams together, let's just put those together so I can match them up. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna tack the braid together. So even though the button's holding the two pieces, the braid together, the reality is that this strand is going to do it, and the button is just ornamental and it's not functional. So matching right to the end, like so. So what I want to do is that I want to work my way back now to where these loops are. So I'm just going to pull the first loop out. Okay, making sure I get the right one, and I want to pull it over so that it appears to be overlapping to the original that we had started with, just like this. Okay, and this is where the button's gonna go. So what I want to do is that I want to slide the yarn underneath the stitches until I'm up at that point, and then come up through the point of a loop. Okay, don't pull too much tension on it to ruin the stretchability, and just do it and then go down right into the project, and that'll hold that loop permanently in position and it will never fall out on you. So it looks like it's matching just like that. So now I'm gonna move over now in the back side and shifting through the yarn strands to where the other one will be approximately, just like that. And now I can undo this one. Right there. And what I want to do is that I want to dive back into the project and come out right approximately where I want the loop to sit over top of, and then I can put that loop in to coming up. And then right back in. So now when I go to put the buttons on, they'll be right at these particular spots. So on the back side, what I want to do is that I want to fasten off. So just taking it from the other side here and just glide in the yarn and just tie a quick knot. And then just glide the yarn into the fibers 3 times. So 1 in one direction, coming back in the other direction for 2, staying on the back side of the project, and then going back for 3, and therefore it'll never fall out on you. And then we can just trim it down to the project, and now the braid is permanently into position just like so, and you'll be ready to apply a button when you're done. So let's move on, and we're gonna move on to making the top of the hat. So if you wanted a headband, you could actually just stop right now, just apply your buttons, but if you want a top piece, we're gonna continue with that just as per the pattern. Okay, so let's begin to do the top of the head. Let's start off with a slip knot, and what we're going to do now is that the band is so tall is that this is actually most of the hat, and we're now gonna then start shaping it to the top of the hat. So coming up straight up from where you've done the joining of the braids, straight up and just join it into a side row like so, and just join it with the slip stitch. Okay, chain 1 and 1 single crochet into that same one. So now what we're gonna do is that we need a total of 12 single crochets in a row. This counts as one of them. So moving down each one of the rows, so each one of the rows is a single crochet row, so therefore on the side each row equals a single crochet. So just count as you go. So this is number 2 because we've already done 1 and 2. Oh, sorry, this is 3, 4. See how I'm bearing this loose end as well as I go. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So to keep in balance, you're gonna skip the next one you would go into and go to the second one over and start again for another 12 in a row. And you're gonna do that total 4 times going around on this, and I'm gonna teach you something right at the end just in case that your stitches are off count. So continue along. So 12 in a row, skip 1, 12 in a row, skip 1. So I'm coming up all the way around, and I just did another 12, and it says to skip 1, and then this says the last 3 are single crochets. Well, I technically only have 1 stitch left. So what I'm gonna do here at the end, in order to stay in balance, you gotta sometimes cheat because all of our tensions are slightly different. So technically I should have skipped one, which I'm not going to, and I'm just going to put in 3 single crochets just to keep it in balance in the end. So I'm just gonna put one into each of the 2, and then I've run out of stitches and I'm just gonna put one more into the final and then join it to the top. You have to improvise sometimes in order to keep your stitch counts properly, because right now this is where you would have to improvise and you basically will not even see it anyway. That's a nice thing about these kind of projects and this kind of thickness of yarn. So let's move along to row number 2 or round number 2, and it says alternative rows after that, so I'll explain that. So row number 2 and alternative rows, so 2, 4, 6 and 8 are all gonna be the same thing. You're gonna chain up 1 and then just diving straight into the same one, and each stitch all the way around is just gonna be 1 single crochet each. Okay, so this is nothing, no decreasing at all. So rows number 2, and we'll have to do this every other row as well, just regular single crochet, and this is allowing us to build the hat in a way that will allow it to grow properly. So 1 single crochet into each for row number 2. So I'm coming up to the end of row number 2, and each single crochet is getting a single crochet this time, and then I just join it to the top of the beginning. So because we did alternate corrections then on the last round, all your stitch counts should be back in balance at this point. Let's move along to round number 3. So round number 3, we're gonna start off and chain 1 and then single crochet into the same one. And it says 1 single crochet in each of the next 4. Well, this is considered one of them so far. So we just go 2 and 3 and 4, and then it says to skip 1 stitch. So skip 1 and then jump over to the second one and single crochet 4 in a row again. So this is 2, 3 and 4, skip 1, go to the next one. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Please do that all the way around for this round. If your stitches are in count, when you go to skip for the final one, you're gonna be left with 1 stitch. That's normal. So in round number 3 it says you'll have to single crochet in the last single crochet here because you skipped 1 and there's 1 left. So that means that when I did the corrections on row number 1 is that I got myself back in balance, and so that it's working out as per the pattern. So let's do round number 4. So chain up 1 and it's just 1 single crochet into each, going all the way around again. So just no fancy footwork, 1 single crochet into each, and it's slowly decreasing the top of this hat. I'll see you in just a moment. So I'm finishing up round number 4. Single crochet into each is in that one, and then I just join it to the beginning of where we started. Let's go for round number 5. Keep saying row today, I don't know why. So we're going to chain up 1 and it says 1 single crochet into each of the next 3. So coming down into the first one, so we're gonna do 3 in a row. So 1 and then 2 and 3, and guess what? We have to skip 1 again. So skip 1 and jump over to the second and do another 3. So 1, 2 and 3, skip 1 and go to the second one over for 3 in a row. Continue to do that for round number 5. So I'm getting faster in every revolution, so I'm skipping 1 and I got 1 stitch left before I join it to the top of the beginning that we had started with. So that is the same thing that we've done before, where you have 1 that's left over even after you skip. So that's normal here for round number 5. So let's just start with the next one. We're gonna chain up 1 and 1 single crochet into each for round number 6. So this is an alternative round, and please do that 1 single crochet into each, single crochet all the way around. I got really tight on that particular stitch here. Happens. Maybe I wasn't paying attention or something. 1 single crochet into each all the way for round number 6. Okay, I'm finishing up round number 6. So let's move on to number 7. So let's chain up 1. 7 is just really again easy. So single crochet into the next 2 and then skip 1. So there's 2, skip 1, go to the next one, 2 in a row and skip 1, and please do that all the way around for number 7. So coming up to the end of round number 7, again you'll have 1 skipped and then it's 1 single crochet sitting by itself before you join. So that was number 7. So we're back to number 8, which is an alternative round. So chain up 1 and 1 single crochet into each, going all the way around for round number 8. Please do that and I'll see you in a second. Okay, just finishing up round number 8, joining it. So number 9 is the final before we gather the rest of the top and sew it shut. So that round number 9, final, chain up 1, 1 single crochet into the first one, and then guess what? You're gonna skip 1 and go to the second over, single crochet, skip one, go to the second over and single crochet. Please do that all the way for round number 9. I'll see you at the end. This is the final round, and then we're going to gather up the top and then sew the remaining shed. So I'm already at the back of the beginning, and I'm just going to join it to the first single crochet, and that's it. So I got a small little hole that's left on the very top. I want to leave an extra long strand here, and I'm going to safely just trim it down. And what I want to do is just pull up on this yarn so that it comes out like this. So I'm going to place my strand onto a darning needle at this point, and I want to gather it kind of like a clothesline idea and then pull it all safely shut together. So this is how big this hole looks at this point. So it's not a big one. So I just want to go in and out of these stitches, and what I like to do is just kind of loosely put them in, and then at the end I just like to pull it all shut and watch it all come together. So it just will be a better even thing if you do it at the end instead of pulling as you go. And again, this is my own personal taste. If you have another alternative suggestion, you can obviously do that for yourself. You are the artist within your home. So continuing to go around. So now I gotta somehow find some buttons. I don't think I have any here in stock, but definitely the buttons are the last thing to be put onto this project if you want to. So I would do it at the end. Look how your hat looks and then make a judgment on your buttons at that point. So all the way back now to the start. So now that it's all in, I can just safely just pull on it, and it will pull everything nice and tight at the very top. To finish this off and to really close it in, I go diagonal across the way and then back over, and then I go in the other direction like across, and that'll put it nicely secured at the top. And then what I would do is put the hook, or sorry, the needle down directly through the middle and turn the hat to the side on the inside and pull up. And what I want you to do is tie a knot on this side of the hat, on the underside that you can never see if you're wearing it, and then just tie a knot. And remember that technique I showed you when doing the seam. So just going in just to the fibers on the on this side of the project. Don't go through it. Just go 1 and then come back in the other direction for 2, and in the other direction for 3, and your work will never be falling out at that point. You won't have any tails. I can see this kind of hat. I was thinking as I was doing this, that this kind of hat would be probably something you would see in a craft fair or any kind of exhibit that people are selling on tables. Totally see this hat with this kind of concept. So now I have my hat completely done. So now all I just got to do is sew the buttons directly where it's joining here, and just got to shape it properly, and it would be good to go. So sew on your buttons. Just grab your darning needle and some yarn, and this is what the hat looks like. And I think it's a really kind of a cool hat, and I think it'd be a lot of fun, and it's also different too, which I personally like when things are of unusual taste. Until next time, it's Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd as well as yarnspirations.com. Have a great day. Don't forget to sew your buttons, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.